Real talk, the Metaphor Messiah, man. I got this one. Let's go. You ever seen the morning star? Mr. Metaphor Messiah, back to show you who we are. I represent a legacy, a pothead like the 70s, a different kind of mind. They say we only speak in melodies.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Dead on Dave, coming at you live from Germany for your copious review reaction show to WWE's Extreme Rules, which was very, very low on the extremes, which is the biggest thing going in for a lot of people. It's like calling it Extreme Rules is a stretch at this point, because really when you watch it, the end product, this is basically the same level of extremism as any pay-per-view has. Not a whole hell of a lot. There was some interesting spots. There was some interesting moments. The wrestling was fairly good throughout, but it was a pretty damn predictable night. Very damn predictable. In fact, on this very prediction show, which is really the only prediction show I want anyone to be basing any of my predictions off of course, on this prediction show we did last night with the one and only ace trainer Liam, I got them all right, except for Samoa Joe, that I basically went with the betting odds before it switched again. It switched back to Samoa Joe, but during the show, I bought into the Seth Rollins betting odds new favorite, and I went with that. And in fact, I thought I constructed a pretty good narrative on how it would work. So that's exactly where I went with it, and they ended up changing it again, like during the show, as a matter of fact. And then, boom, Samoa Joe does end up winning, of course, which we're going to talk about, because that was, I don't know, I didn't feel it the way I thought I'd want to, mainly because, yes, it's a number one contendership match, but it's a number one contendership match at one of the worst ever names in the history of the pay-per-view. Now, and if you thought for a second that they were going to do something new with Great Balls of Fire, and maybe it'd be something different, it wouldn't just be the Jerry Lee Lewis song or anything like that, or literally just Great Balls of Fire, well, you would be wrong, sir. You would be wrong. The promo not only featured the Great Balls of Fire song, but if you watch it really carefully, when the logo appears, two giant balls show up and then shoot out a big fucking dick. A dick of fire. That's right. We got a fire dick on the logo for Great Balls of Fire. I'm not kidding. It's true. It happened. So that's unfortunate. And that takes away from the importance of the Fatal 5-Way. I do think that they missed a couple opportunities here. Not really with the outcome. I think Samoa Joe is actually a really good decision because it makes a big money match. That's something they could have saved for SummerSlam. They could have saved for a bigger event, but they're doing it now. Now, you could take that one of two ways. You could take that, well, there's faith in Samoa Joe to be able to have that type of draw for a relatively minor pay-per-view, or you could take it in the negative connotation that, well, they don't really have a lot of faith in Samoa Joe because they're putting him on a throwaway pay-per-view, essentially. But to counter that point, Brock Lesnar not being on television at all and not showing the Universal title since WrestleMania kind of is a big deal. At least that's what WWE's hope is. WWE's hope and intention is that the lack of TV time for Brock Lesnar makes him a must-see attraction and a must-see event. That's the hope. Will it work? I don't know. But all of that's a discussion for another day. Let's talk about the actual pay-per-view. And instead of doing numbers and putting 1 through 10 and all that shit, I think this is the type of pay-per-view where we can really just look at it pass-fail. So we're going to look at each match and we're going to simply determine pass or fail. And then we're going to take some calls if we have any. Probably won't even have to open up Skype, but I might. Just depends if you guys want to do that. But Discord is open. I'm in my Discord. Link is on you can see the link right here on the screen. It's also in the channel description. So feel free to go up into my Discord, go into waiting the call, and I'll bring you in a little bit later on. Jade Rabbit's here, Chris Cressa, Luna Blarp, TKO Rising, Tambo. You're all here. Thank you guys for joining me. I really do appreciate that. Let's start with the late edition kickoff show match. Now on this very channel last night, Ace Trainer Liam and I talked about this match, and I told him that I thought Kalisto would get the victory because I think it's going to further the idea that Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil are not going to work out. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Titus basically cost Apollo the match, and then they argued afterwards. So we're going to that. Kalisto getting a victory. They put money in Kalisto. They had him get a victory, however retarded of a victory, over Braun Strowman. So obviously there's something planned for him. So it is what it is there. Match was meh. There was nothing wrong with it. There wasn't anything good with it. It's just Kalisto is so boring to me. And it's odd to say that about a high flyer, but his moveset, it's so similar to Rey Mysterio, and it's so paint by numbers. It's the exact same match each and every day, and I think that's the problem when you're a small guy like that. You really don't have a choice. You have to wrestle the same match. All the beats have to be the same because that's the only way that it's believable. It's the only way that it works. And that's why these gimmicks are so difficult unless you are truly a personable and enigmatic character like Rey Mysterio is. That's why he works, is because people love Rey, and Rey had ties to other people. I mean, there is a reason for that. Kalisto doesn't have any of that, so it's a little bit more difficult. But still, that happened. Not a terrible match. Just who gives a shit, really? And so pass, fail as far as the gimmick, as far as the point, the purpose, and the whole story, but a pass as far as wrestling goes. I'm not gonna trash the wrestling on it a little bit too much, okay? Let's move on to the actual opener of the show, the Intercontinental Championship. But before we do, let's say goodbye to the copious wife. I've been a little bit of a dickhead to her, even though it's her fault. Love you.
Love you too.
Get your big butt to work. Last day, baby. It's your weekend. Love you.
Love you too.
Yay, weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend. Lover Boy, you know? It's a good song. It's a good song. Actually, she's about to be off for the summer. Yeah, they closed the restaurant for the summer, and she's about to be off, so that's pretty damn cool, too. So she's got a couple of weeks left. So, yay, more copious wife around to not have sex with me. Anyways, Intercontinental Championship match. Dean Ambrose versus The Miz kind of went the way you'd expect it to go. They had a lot of emphasis on the stipulation, on the gimmick of the match. Ended up really not coming into play outside of it was still very blatantly used. It was just used in a different way. While Dean was not disqualified, the threat of disqualification is what was ultimately used to give Miz the victory, hitting the skull-crushing finale. But still, even under nefarious means like that, Miz still pinned Dean Ambrose, and I think that's a big deal. They could have done it another way, protected Dean a little bit clearer, but the fact that the Miz got the win, to me, it tells me more than likely Dean is going to be either moving up and maybe going into hopefully a more high-profile feud with what I'm hoping is going to turn out to be some sort of semblance of a short-term Shield reunion, or he's going to be relegated down the card, which is unfortunate. But I do think that might happen in the short term, but who knows? The only issue with having a Shield reunion is there's no one for them to fight. There's no faction that's running roughshod, so we'll see what happens there. But still, it's good that Dean dropped the belt. It's just not very good that he dropped the belt to Miz. As far as the match goes, wasn't a terrible match. It was a decent match. It's on par with what they've always done. So as far as moving the Intercontinental Championship back to a guy who could probably give it a little bit more credence, and the fact that the match wasn't utter dog shit, I'm going to give it a pass. Not a stunning pass, but a pass nonetheless. So let's move it on to Rich Swann and Sasha Banks defeating Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. I was pleasantly surprised. You know, I hated this entire setup until I watched 205 Live this week, and I really enjoyed Swann and Dar, and more importantly, the dynamic between Sasha Banks and Alicia Fox. everything's kind of started to work with that story. Alicia getting 2 victories over Sasha kind of made Alicia a little bit more of a badass. She hit some nice little moves. Sasha is still Sasha, even though she's being relegated. She seems to be having fun with this now. She's dancing. She seems to have a genuine smile on her face. She seems to be embracing it and understanding sometimes this happens in the wrestling industry. So it's kind of nice to see a little maturation by her. So maybe I'm reading in too much to it, and that's fair because I do that a lot. But still, I thought that was a very nice sign. I actually liked the match. I thought the match wasn't all that bad. The crowd didn't care, but the crowd didn't care for a whole hell of a lot that happened on this show, to be completely honest. But overall, I think the match worked as far as showing 2 really good wrestlers in Noam Dar and Rich Swann, and 2 women that really don't have anything to do in the main spot of the women's division, but getting a little bit of extra screen time. More storylines, offers a little bit more fleshed out division. So that's not the worst thing in the world. And it kind of furthers everything with Rich Swann getting the victory there. So that's a good thing. So I got to give it a pass. I can't really fail the match, even though my interest wasn't as high. It is more than it was. So I'm a happy guy with that. That's a match that wasn't really supposed to give you anything, and it gave you a little bit of something. So don't worry, be happy at the end of the day. Let's go to the Raw Women's Championship match. Oh boy, the kendo stick on a pole match. I love Alexa Bliss. That's really all I can say because she was really good. There were problems with this match. Lots of problems. And it was all on Bayley's end. Bayley has to be one of the most disappointing over characters I have seen in a long time. There is nothing believable about her anymore. I think it's ridiculous how she hesitates on everything. I hated the story that they told. Is Bayley tough enough to use the kendo stick? Does she have the guts to use it? And then all of her... I get the story they were trying to tell. It's a stupid story. You're in a kendo stick match. Use the fucking kendo stick. You know, what's the big deal? The only thing that saved any of it for me was the fact that Bayley could not stay inside of that top. She had a brand new top, and yeah, that was pretty nice. I told Liam last night that those boobs are just ridiculously huge, and you don't really see it because they strap them down. You saw it last night, buddy. That top could not hold those monsters one iota, and thank God for that, because that did give, at least I cared about Bayley, and I was like, oh, yeah. Let's talk about the one thing that did happen in the match that was a little bit worrying. I've watched it back 6 or 7 times now. I'm fairly convinced Alexa targeted her head with that kendo stick shot. At first, I thought that it was Bayley's fault because she kind of ducked into it. But no, you watch it back, Alexa swings with it. I think hitting her up high was the point. I don't necessarily think she was trying to hit her in the head or the neck, but she didn't adjust down, which is what you're supposed to do when people are moving. I mean, that's basics. When you're when you're swinging a chair or you're swinging a stick in this era where headshots are explicitly forbidden, you got to go low. You've got to swing low. You've got to adjust low, especially when she's short. So I think that she may have intentionally knocked her one there. Maybe it was a worked spot between the two of them. Like Bayley's like, yeah, hit me high. And Alexa kind of got her up in the head. That was a little disconcerting, but it worked. I think as far as it added a little extra because that was the most vicious shot that she hit. Other than that, the fighting over the stick, the spot where they went back into the ring to get the stick, none of it did anything for me. I'm just glad that this is probably the end of the feud, even though a really bad gimmick match like a kendo stick on a pole is rarely a story ender. So it wouldn't surprise me if we go a little bit farther here, but Nia Jax is positioned. So that's the only thing that I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that this is over, is the fact that Nia Jax is there. Nia Jax is waiting. She made it very clear, and she almost punched out Sam Roberts, which I really liked. Really, really liked. Carl Gibney in chat says Bayley might take some time off and come back repackaged for revenge. Yeah, I think maybe a dark Bayley. Yeah, epic sneeze. We got a whimsical sneeze today. That's a good thing. Yeah, I could see a dark Bayley storyline, something like that. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I just don't think that the hug life is working. They were expecting her to be the female John Cena. John Cena just has it over her like a tent when it comes to natural charisma and ability to speak and ability to think on the fly. She doesn't really seem to be able to improvise very well. She's kind of paint by numbers. I'm a little disappointed because I was so wrong on her. But this is the inherent problem with NXT, because NXT is a great place to showcase talent and develop them, right? But because it's become a full-fledged brand with a following, what you do in NXT gives you expectations on the next roster. When you come up to the main spotlight, you have expectations now from what you did in NXT, because it's not just developmental. It is a brand. So while you're the top guy there and you come in and you are kind of wishy-washy and it doesn't really work, people don't really understand it, because you're like, well, she was so dynamite on NXT. Why isn't the same thing happening here? It's still two different worlds, even though it's not being treated as such. So it's hard. It's more difficult unless you are just so over and you're so solidified like a Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think he's going to have that problem, especially now that he's actually, wrestling every week. I don't think he's going to have that issue, but some people will. And Bayley seems to be a victim of that, because as good as she was in NXT, she's just not polished. So Jade in the chat, I think some of you know that I don't watch wrestling, but straight up stick on a pole match sounds a bit ridiculous. Like, who approved that? Yeah, who approved that idea? Very good, very good question, Miss Jade. You're doing Extreme Rules, so it's like they just do Dr. Evil. Let's go quasi-extreme. Let's go semi-extreme. Let's make it the Diet Coke of extreme. 1 calorie, not extreme enough. That's what it felt like they did. And this was just another example of that. So moving on from that. Oh, by the way, pass fail. I'm gonna give it a pass for 2 reasons. One, because I'm gonna give Alexa Bliss a pass. I'm gonna give Bayley a fail, and inevitably the match a fail. I'm gonna give 2 things a pass. I'm gonna give Alexa Bliss a pass, and I'm gonna give those boobies of Bayley a pass. A big old pass. Big Bayley booby pass. That's right. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're going to do. All right, let's move it on to the steel cage match for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship. Thank God they didn't do tags. That's all I can say here. Thank God they didn't do tags. It was a weird match, though. Not a bad match, just a weird one. Like, it didn't seem like any of the matches had a whole hell of a lot of time aside from the main event. It really felt like everything was just rushed. And this match suffered because it's like they did some spots, they did some wrestling, and then Jeff went out of the ring, out of the cage, because this was a pure escape match. There was no pinfall, no submission. It was pure escape, which I didn't realize. I didn't even know that's how it was going to be. So it was kind of weird. So he's standing out of the cage, and then Matt's getting the shit kicked out of him. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to take Jeff out, only to have him come back in to hit his big high spot, which was not a swanton bomb, but just a whisper in the wind off the top of the cage, which was nice. It was nice, but it wasn't what people were expecting. We didn't get that super high spot that we thought we were going to get, but we did get some nice stuff in between. And of course, yes, the Hardys did drop the belt so close, so quick. Almost didn't happen. They did the race against who's going to get out first. Look, the reality is 2 guys getting out of the cage through the door should always be faster than 2 guys having to climb over the cage. And that's where the disconnect came. I'm still going to give the match a pass because I didn't think it was necessarily bad. It's hard to fail a cage match that does not have any extreme botches to it, and when there's a title change. So I'm going to give the title change a pass because I think that it's a smart idea to have Cesaro and Sheamus as the tag champs. It just opens up more doors. If you want to keep the Hardys together, you have that option because of how over they are, obviously. But if you want to break them up and you want to go Jeff becoming a main event star again, you could do that easily. He's still the most over thing in this entire situation. And then Matt can do Matt things. Nothing wrong with that at all. And we'll see where that goes. I'm sure we're going to get a rematch, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Great Balls of Fire. But don't be shocked, because that's 5 weeks away, that they do end up kind of getting through this before then. If Raw tonight, there's a tag team match, a rematch for the titles, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. So we'll see. We'll see. Overall, I give it a pass, but just barely. Just barely. Let's go to the submission match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match that saw Neville defeat Austin Aries for the third time. Once again, Neville did go to a somewhat quasi nefarious way to win. You know, you trying to use the referee again, but, you know, Austin catching it and like pleading with him not to disqualify Neville again, even though it's a submission match, so there really shouldn't have been any fucking disqualification anyway. But there was for some reason. And Neville locking in a submission to get the victory over Austin, who looked absolutely devastated after. I think we're going to get a character change. I thought that there was a good possibility we would see a pivot in this match, but I don't think it's going to be the case. I think Austin Aries is going to go full-blown heel after this, and he's going to target somebody. So that makes a little bit more sense. Frustration coming out of Austin. I think we're going to see that. Neville is going to continue to be Neville, and that's not a bad thing at all. The match was good, had good wrestling, good spots, some really, really good stuff. They even let Austin Aries force Neville to tap out again, but it was outside of the ring. Still, very good stuff. Probably, if I had to judge it fair, it was probably the best match of the night as far as ring work goes. I would think that's fair. Had probably some of the best spots of the entire night. So I'm going to go with that as my highlight of the night, and I'm definitely going to give it a pass. It worked. It was smart. Everything kind of worked out the way it was supposed to. Unless you're an Austin Aries fan. Main event, Fatal 5-Way. Okay. This is the problem. This is the problem. The match sucked. The match sucked. It was full of botches. It was just not clean. There was nothing clean about this match. It just, 5 people sometimes, if the chemistry's not right, it doesn't work. They didn't have a lot of chaos in this match, just small isolated pockets of chaos. I absolutely hated all the teamwork by Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt. This is the one match that I'm going to actually give a flat out fail to. And not because of the outcome, because I do think that there's, like I made the case at the beginning of the show about why this works and why it doesn't work, but it still ultimately works. Go back and listen to that to get a full explanation of all that insanity. But Samoa Joe winning isn't necessarily a problem, but the match not being exciting is kind of a problem. And you had a lot of things in the match that should have left you with that feeling of excitement, like the broken barricade. Oh, wait. We see it all the time. It's not special, even with 2 people going through the barricade. It just didn't do anything. Seth Rollins looking like he snapped his goddamn leg off on that frog splash onto the table. While scary, nothing really special about it. I worried about Seth, but it didn't really do anything. Finn had some nice isolated pockets, but again, there was no chaos. There was no point in the match where all 5 guys were just kind of trading off moves in succession. It seemed like there was a very methodical approach. They were still trying to sell previous things. It just, I don't know, it felt broke. It felt fucking broken. It felt disjointed. It felt incomplete. It was just very weird and just did not work. I do like the fact that Samoa Joe won, but nothing else was memorable from that match for me. And it was just very ugly. Very ugly. And I understand that inherently with a 5-way, it's going to be ugly. But when you got your 5 top guys outside of the champion, it shouldn't be. There's ways to make that super exciting, and they just fucked it. They just failed. Plain and simple. They failed to bring that match to the level that it needed to be. Shouldn't have been the main event. It was ugly. It was ugly. So I give that a fail. Overall, I'm going to give the night a pass. Not a stunning pass, but a pass nonetheless. I feel that there was enough there to, entertainment-wise at least, as far as a wrestling show, to get you through. And to make you feel a little bit content as far as wrestling goes. But when you judge it as a pay-per-view, it's a little bit harder. What was special? What was special? What was there to make you really get excited about a pay-per-view? Not a whole hell of a lot. And that's a problem. That's a little bit of an issue. And that's something that WWE is going to have to address, because here's the reality. Extreme Rules wasn't Extreme, and now we're going into the next Raw pay-per-view that's fucking titled Great Balls of Fire. Jesus. That's a problem, man. That's a serious friggin' issue. They're in trouble. Raw's in trouble right now. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. Brock Lesnar needs to return, and we need to see him work a schedule. We need to see him work a series of matches. It's the only way this is going to work, because nothing else matters at this point. Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor, maybe we get that. I don't know. Kurt Angle, where is this going to play? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I have no idea. And that's maybe that's a good thing in some terms, but it feels like 5 guys were in this match, and yet nobody was built as a really important figure going into a title match. Nobody was advanced. No one was furthered. Everyone was just kind of So there it is. Those are my thoughts. Let's see if we got anybody waiting in the Discord to call in. Jump into wait and call now. We'll also open up the Skype. You can call in David Vancura, DavidVancura. And of course, that number, 702-751-2902. We'll take calls, comments, hopes, dreams, quips, quotes, likes, loves, and all that falls in between in the realm of Extreme Rules. What'd you think of it? Did you like it, love it, hate it, detest it? I want to know. Hit me up in the chat right now at the very least. If you don't want to call in, as I understand it's kind of early, if you don't want to call in, feel free to just give me a pass or fail. In general, on the night, is it a pass or fail? A thumbs up or a thumbs down for WWE Extreme Rules? It was not extreme. Nothing. My shits are more extreme than that pay-per-view. I take more extreme dumpers. It's unreal. You know what's extreme? The fact that I can fit in this t-shirt. Yeah, well, mostly fit into this t-shirt. Nuka-Cola for life, bitch. I fit in these shirts now. These shirts that my wife got a while ago. It's just kind of cool to be able to fit in these things. So I'm happy. Luna Blarp, My Lady Garden is more extreme. Enter at your own risk. My Lady Garden. That's a great euphemism for pussy. It really is. It really is. Jade, I was going to say, if you're paying for something of high quality, it shouldn't be a gamble if it's entertaining or not. I agree with you, Jade. You seem to understand wrestling better than most people who actually watch wrestling. Ben Young, I was hoping for something like the Raw SmackDown Survivor Series match for the main event, but it was disappointing and flat and shouldn't have been, because they had a lot of time to do something special. Yeah, there was so much time. There was so much time. They had so much time to work with, and they did nothing with it. It seemed like the match was just all filler. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Danny boy, Money in the Bank is going to be way better. I agree, Danny. Couldn't agree with you more. It's going to be way better. Why? Shinsuke Nakamura. That's why. That's my answer to life. Shinsuke Nakamura. Do you have any problems in your life? Nope. Because I Shinsuke every day. Do you play Pokemon Go every day? I do. But I Shinsuke every day. That's the difference. That little extra oomph. All right, so I don't know if we're going to have any callers or anything, and if not, that's completely fine. However, just to let you know, the rest of the day, I don't think I'm going to be doing a Pokemon stream. There's a lot going on. I'm going to be on Shopping the Point Live tonight, so looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot to talk about there. Not really sure how the rest of the day is going to go. There's a minor thing that's happening right now. Not a huge deal, because just, hey, like Phil Collins said, think twice. It's just another day in Keem's Troll Paradise. That's really all it is. So we'll talk about that later on tonight over at Shopping the Point. I don't know what I'm going to do. Haven't decided yet. I don't know if I'm going to do something else. Probably won't. I need to take a nap. I'm very tired. Very tired. I didn't do the live reaction show because I wanted to get some rest. And what ended up happening was I got stuck in my chair after the prediction show for about 2.5 hours. So I still didn't go to sleep till almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up very early. So it was difficult. It was a rough one for me, but I'm going to get some rest and it's going to be great. We're going to have a good time on Shot from the Point Live tonight. So hopefully you guys will be there for that. Hopefully you enjoyed the live review here. So we'll see. Leaping Lizard. It's kind of sad when Grimm's Toy Show puts out a better pay-per-view than WWE. They've never put out a better show than anything. Grimm's Toy Show's wrestling is, I don't want to trash them. God bless them. They're doing what they love, but it's, damn. No. I'm sorry. Jade, well, I guess you're going to be playing Pokemon Moon. Yeah, there's a very good possibility I do some. My wife is blowing me away in that. She is so far, and I am not. I need to go get some Pokemon Moon in, so I'm going to be playing that today. Maybe I'll take some challenges. Maybe I'll trade with some people if you guys want to send me some eggs or something like that. I don't know how any of that works, but maybe we could do something. Maybe I'll jump on Twitter. Maybe I'll come back into Discord and we could talk a little bit and have some fun throughout the day because I got some time to kill, but I'm probably going to take a nap first. So thank you very much for joining me right here on Dead on Day Productions. This was your copious live review reaction of WWE Extreme Rules. Hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Share it around. Hit the like button on the way out. Tell the people that the copious fat man has spoken. And remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. Go watch Ace Trainer Liam. He's live right now with another amazing, stupendous, miraculous 12-hour stream. How? I couldn't fucking tell you. He stayed up all night. The dude's an absolute dog. So go get your stuff. Sarcastic Sam says, what's the status on Pokemon card stock? Asking for a friend. It's not bad. Go get that Pokemon cards, son. Ben Young, take care, Dave. You too. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. And peace.